Boom. We on. Welcome old family and new family to Cypher Scholars. Part education, part hip hop, all culture. You listening to your boy Brandon White, aka Bushido Garvey, as I'm known in many MC circles.
You listen to the co-host of the co-host, your boy Ron Blow.
Yes. Again, this is Cypher Scholars, part education, part hip hop, all culture, and it's always local, global, and universal. So let's hop right into this very busy syllabus. We're going to be talking about all the student loan forgiveness plans that some of the Democratic nominee candidates are talking about. Then we're going to be talking a bit about the beef between U.S. and Iran. And then we're going to be talking a bit about Cardi and her whole debate about her nationality. Actually, the culture's debate about her nationality, she's pretty firm on what that is. So, as Cardi usually is in terms of her firmness and her beliefs and understanding of things. So, let's hop straight to it.
Sure.
So, if we get one of these candidates in the White House, we may have some student loan forgiveness popping.
Yeah.
Out here. For all the people who have been told to go get a college degree, college education, one thing that is not stressed enough in terms of the consequences of that is the almost perpetual debt that it feels like you're in, even with some assistance, even with aid, even by just going the state route, you can still be paying off people for a very, very long time. Especially if you had to take remediation courses because your high school career didn't prepare you well. You still had to pay for college without getting no credit. So things accrue up, but we have two candidates that's talking about forgiving all of that.
Those two candidates go by the name of Bernie Sanders and I believe Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
Two Democrats, right?
Yep,
two Democrats.
Yep, two Democrats. Who you thinking has got the better offer in terms of the forgiveness?
So I guess from my understanding, Bernie Sanders is offering up legislation that's talking about forgiving about $1.6 trillion in student loans for 46 million students across America, right?
Right. That's a tall order, B.
That's kind of crazy.
Come on, son. I mean, listen,
might be a little steep.
I'm a Bernie supporter. I respect Bernie a lot, but and I respect vision too, but I look at that and it's like, come on, so how is that going to be possible?
And Elizabeth Warren is offering legislation that will cover $50,000. Is it $50,000 in student loans?
$50,000 for 42 million.
Yeah, for 42 million, which is not even. That might not even be enough
for a lot of people. That might not be enough, but for me, that'd be a grip.
Oh, like 50,000 per.
That's why, and student loan debt for 42 million Americans. I think that's per graduate.
Well, matter of fact, that's not clear enough to me. That's not clear enough.
Because you know what? I just realized
that's not clear enough.
This may not even apply to. I wonder if this applies only to graduates. What about people who spent a couple years, got the debt, but did not graduate? Does this apply to them? Are they a part of this 42 or 45 million?
We gotta read more into the legislation,
do more
which we don't have.
Indeed. But I think.
But this is all new legislation. This is all new legislation that has come about within this past week.
Right.
Where you have Bernie Sanders talking about covering a large amount of money. 1.6 trillion, and Elizabeth Warren covering a small amount of that percentage.
Right.
But those questions, is it covering undergrads? Or is it covering graduates?
Right, or is it covering people who didn't finish? You know what I'm saying? That still have the debt. So, I think that's more knowledge that has to be done on it. But Bernie's plan to actually use a new tax that he'd have for Wall Street to pay for it. A tax that rounds up $1.6 trillion is a heavy tax. You know what I'm saying? Well, maybe it's not. Maybe I just don't know the math right.
I think it is, because I believe a lot of Americans pay. Wall Street and citizens alike pay trillions in taxes across the board for many things. You know what I mean?
Okay. I wouldn't be mad at it.
You know what I mean? So
I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
Go ahead.
He's also talking about making the public universities and community colleges free.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So if you decide to do that, it'll be one thing if you're trying to forgive $1.6 trillion in student debt. But then maybe that Wall Street tax continues to pay for those kind of college opportunities. what would you say to the person who feels like, no, college needs to be paid for? That's a service, and it's something that you earn, not just get the ability to go for free for.
I will feel a little. I'll feel very much on the fence. I probably will be. What's the word? I'll probably will be more indecisive on that because I feel like education should be free. I feel like education should be available or accessible to all citizens, whether you're old or young or whatever, regardless of your situation. But I mean, and given the fact that many Americans, 46 million Americans, are in debt because of going to college. I mean, I feel like because of that, like it should be free in some form. I mean, or it should be less of a struggle to pay for the loans if you do acquire it over time.
Elizabeth Warren is quoted as saying, in terms of her legislation, she says, "Are we going to be a country that only helps the rich and powerful get richer and more powerful, or are we going to be a country that invests in its future?" So maybe the forgiveness and paying for people to get educated is an investment in the future. I wonder what the gross domestic product would be if everybody was able to go to college, that wanted to go to college, and then do the kind of career they wanted to have, and then make the kind of economic output that the United States may want to have. I wonder if that would be a considerable output. And by the way, peace to Caleb. Peace to moms. Congratulations, moms, for your yoga instruction graduation today. And peace to Ms. Garlock for always supporting us. But yeah, man. I still got to pay. You know what I'm saying? With all the forgiveness that I've gotten. Because, in New York State, teachers can have, student loan forgiveness stuff. There's still things I got to pay. Yeah. So, like it's... I'm not going to front. I'll take that money. You know what I'm saying? We just talking about reparations last week. Yeah. If I'm not getting reparations, I would not mind getting these student loan debts paid off.
Relief,
feel me?
Student loan relief.
Indeed,
packages.
Man. For real. You know what I'm saying? That would honestly, back to that reparations topic. If you're not willing to pay, or it's quote unquote too hard, which is BS to me, but if that's too much of a mess, boom, free opportunities for the people that you redlined into these neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Free opportunities for education, but also that's had its own history of was with affirmative action and all that. That was part of what that was supposed to be about. But then, the opposite side found little ways to shut that down and make that less active. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Out of Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, I will say that I probably will support Bernie Sanders
in the battle of the plans.
Yeah, in the battle of those plans, because Bernie Sanders already have Ilhan Omar and another woman that's a part of that's a Democrat in Congress, I believe.
Yep, Pramila Jayapal. I believe I said that's the name right.
That is adding on to the adding on additional legislation onto Bernie Sanders legislation. Hopefully expand, co-signing it and hopefully expanding upon it as well. You know what I mean? Indeed. Because erasing student loan debt will help jumpstart the workforce.
Yeah,
I think a lot. It'll help jumpstart the workforce. It'll help jumpstart the economy because money will be circulating a lot faster within the economy.
Facts.
Instead of just having it being dispersed
paying
through
Sally Mae or Navient or whoever.
Mercantile.
Right, all these. We know them all y'all gangsters. All y'all gangsters trying to collect our money.
So I'm not gonna lie. I hope Bernie Sanders keeps up with the legislation, and even if he doesn't get picked during the primaries, during the primaries, or even if he doesn't advance during the primaries, I'm hoping that this legislation will continue to still be talked about and still be available once it comes into play in Congress.
Indeed. No, I hope so too, man. I really do. So let's talk about beef for a moment, man. Syllabus item number 2. What's beef? You know what I'm saying?
Beef? We talking about beef between who?
U.S. and Iran, but Mos Def is famously said, and we know we had our old debate about Mos Def and his ability to, to bounce or whatever. We're talking about Mos Def and Talib and they strengths and challenges or whatever, right? And just who he had more magnetism towards. But one thing that Mos Def had said was, some beef is big, some beef is small, but what y'all call beef is not beef at all. And when you look at U.S. and Iran, what's going on right now, and the collective history between these two countries, that's beef. Mm-hmm. That is beef.
Yeah, I wish I was clear on the history between Iran and the United States. I have a little murky history on it, but it's no joke. The history between the United States and Iran is no joke. I think it expands back to the 1970s and probably even before that.
So I think Iran's history with the U.S. is the same history as a lot of places that the U.S. has. U.S. has a policy that says get down or lay down. Iran don't lay down. and therefore, that bothers the U.S. The U.S. did that with the Philippines. The U.S. did that with Japan. Mm-hmm. The U.S. has done that with Iraq. The U.S. has done that with Puerto Rico. The U.S. has done that with Cuba.
Country.
The U.S. Get down or lay down. They've done that with South America. Get down or lay down. When you don't lay down, even if it's been years of you not laying down, the U.S. will wait on an opportunity for you to crack. And I'm not saying that Iran don't have its dirt. I'm not saying that Iran don't have its problems. But I'm telling, just like what are they called? The Williams Brothers, the old gospel song. Sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. The U.S. is stay trying to sweep around somebody else's door when they doing is just as much dirt, maybe a little more clandestine, right? But they still doing a lot of dirt. There's a lot of dirt on our hands, and particularly with Iran. I forgot what years it was, but it was Operation Ajax. Okay. Basically, Iran had a democratically elected president, and the United States sneakily encouraged a coup to happen to overthrow that democratically elected president, who also was, again, not laying down for the United States. And it's regionally, it's rich in terms of like military strategy and in terms of oil and whatnot. So, of course, you know what I'm saying, we want them to get down.
So we know there's a deep history between the United States and Iran. But more recently, what is this beef?
Yes,
that's going on between Iran and the United States as of now? What's going on?
So thank you for bringing us up to speed. And by the way, brother Craig or brother Diallo Payne said, "What up, brother Craig?" So right now, a little more than 10 days ago, there was a ship with, two oil tankers that were attacked, right? The U.S. blamed Iran. The U.S. says that they have some grainy footage of it being them and says like they're the only people that have the resources for it, and blames them. Iran is like, nah, that wasn't us. And actually, Iran did not, according to Democracy Now!, Iran denied any involvement and accused the Trump administration of trying to sabotage diplomacy. Right? And these oil tankers weren't even American; they were Japanese and Norwegian. Right? So again, the U.S. trying to sweep around somebody else's front door for the sake of their own militarism and the sake of their own pockets. You feel me? So they use that as an excuse, in addition to what was it? The drone joints.
Yep, to the downing of the U.S. drone.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't manned. It wasn't manned or piloted by any human beings. It was basically a drone.
Right.
So not only the oil tanker that was Japanese oil tankers, I guess, right?
Right, in the region.
But also the downing of the U.S. drone that caused the United States to basically tighten up their sanctions upon Iran.
Yeah, and Iran said, and here's the thing, again, like both sides got their dirt. So who to believe, it can be hard, especially with the drone situation, because Iran said it was on their territory, but the U.S. said, well, it was like
they
open
said
territory.
It was over
international
territories. But Iran said it was over another type of jurisdiction or something like that.
Yeah. But to your point,
but Iran did shoot it down. They did shoot it down. They admitted to shooting it down. So these are facts. But the oil tanker is kind of murky. They're not really sure. Basically, Iran is denying the fact that they didn't they weren't involved in the oil tanker.
Right. And
incident.
And again, anytime something like this happens, like there have been 2 wars off the top of my head that the U.S. got into because of a sunken ship that later was refuted as the enemy doing it, or had more question marks about how the sunken ship actually went down. In the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where some ships were attacked, Vietnam was blamed for it. And then we got into the Vietnam War. Come to find out, that had nothing to do with the Vietnamese. Right? The Lusitania, which got us into World War I, evidence points strongly to the fact that it was just an engine failure, combustion failure that blew up the ship. Not no Germans, U-boats, none of that. So, and we know that war is a major engine that has kept the U.S. alive. Facts. So when I see something like, an oil tanker got attacked, I see the old playbook. I see the playbook. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that it's immediately the playbook, but I'm leery.
So we're using this as an excuse to get into some problems with between the United States and Iran.
Perhaps.
And United States actually kind of starting these problems, I guess, you know what I mean? Or imposing some type of punishment on somebody that has caused some type of problems, I guess. Yeah. So, above all, there were some reactions to United States sanctioning Iran, placing sanctions upon Iran. And one of those reactions was, what is it? EU was given
what they do?
Like what is it? God, the European Union was given a decisive question to answer by Iran. Either you're going to do business with us, with Iran, with Iran, or you're going to do business with the United States, right? And Iran posed this question to the European Union.
Did they answer?
And basically, they did answer. So they basically, the EU basically wants to continue to work with Iran and help them trade and help continue trading with them, with other European countries or companies. And to do this, they set up something called the a European barter system. It also goes by another name called the Instex. The Instex basically is like a loophole around the U.S. sanctions that basically hopefully will keep Iran happy. They're not even sure. Iran officials said they're going to look into this Instex, or the European barter system that was put in place by the EU to help Iran continue trading, etc. But just to make sure if they want to basically continue to increase their nuclear. So basically, this is to see if they want to follow the nuclear deal. Right. All right. So the EU wants Iran not to break away from the nuclear deal. Right. And the United States doesn't want that to happen either. They don't want them to help to make nuclear bombs. They don't want
because they're accelerating their uranium processing right now because word, y'all gonna cut us off?
So the thing, so you're gonna cut us off. What we're gonna do is we're gonna increase our uranium limits. We're gonna go over the limits because the nuclear deal limited the amount of uranium that Iran could receive or whatever. And a couple other limitations. So. Oh, you want to go against our trading routes and stuff like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give the EU an ultimatum, but the EU broke, and they basically said, no, we're gonna work with you. We're gonna just set up a different a barter system with you. So hopefully you guys like the barter system that we set up, and we don't want you guys to break apart from the nuclear deal that was set up in 2015.
It ain't enough, dude.
So
it's not enough.
So that's where we at right now. This is where we at right now. We're trying to see if Iran is down with this barter system deal.
That's not gonna hold them down.
INSTX, right? And on top of that, this barter system is for humanitarian products, medical products, and agricultural products.
That's beautiful. You know what I mean? Glad something is happening, and this is like a stronger play. And it sounds like I'm so anti-American right now. I'm not going but it's not. That's not the angle I'm coming from. I'm coming from pro-righteousness, and so I would say that this is the smartest play. that many people who have to deal with America's sanctions, and sanctions are the most gangster thing you can do on a geopolitical level, by the way. Sanctions is literally like taking the taking the food out of a country's mouth in many respects, right? In terms of like economic trade, because what it does is it disallows you, if the U.S. is putting sanctions on a country, it disallows you to make any type of trade with the U.S. dollar, and the dollar is the main way you get your trade on in the world. That's one of the Americans' like major power in this world in terms of like what is the main currency that gets used. They can't trade in the dollar, so Iran has a lot of oil, but they're no longer so 2.5 million barrels a day was being shipped out in 2018 using American money, like the currency, but now it's as low as $300,000 and 300,000 barrels, pardon me. You know what I'm saying? So like that's dope that the EU is trying to trying to figure out how to keep this country alive, and the people, not so much the government, the people who are suffering because of the sanctions. But like it may not be enough. You know what I'm saying? And Iran's joint wasn't that great anyway because of their own decisions.
But you gotta look at it, man. The U.S. broke away from the new nuclear deal. The U.S. broke away. Okay, you had all these countries that were a part of the 2015 nuclear deal. It goes by another name, but I can't remember the name.
I think
it started with a J something. I don't know.
What's it called? Old girl said it.
But the U.S. broke away from that deal last year, right? The U.S. broke away from the deal, but they want Iran to stick with the deal, and they want them to follow the protocols of the deal, or whatever. But the U.S. broke away from the deal, right? So it doesn't make sense, man.
Real talk. Who's the only people that's used the nuclear bomb on another nation?
The U.S.
United States. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So we're trying to dictate who uses what, who has what, and again, there does need to be regulations for everybody to have. There shouldn't be no nukes, in my opinion. Nobody should have any kind of nukes. But for the U.S. to be extra gangster about who gets nukes and who doesn't, who uses them, who doesn't, like they got their nerve. I'm pro righteous, pro ethics. I'm not going to necessarily just hop on the bandwagon and just blindly ride for a country that hasn't always written for me. And two is just wrong. Like we just need to have a corrective love for where we live. They kind of wrong on this, and you know what I'm saying. Like, but to some of Trump's credit, he pulled back on an attack, right?
Yeah, he did.
He pulled back on an attack. Instead, he hit them with the sanctions. But again, sanctions are still kind of deadly because again, it takes the food out of the mouth of a country.
But you have other countries that's against what the president's doing.
Glad.
You have countries like Austria, Belgium, Finland, the Netherlands, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden.
Good.
That's down with this European barter system.
Good.
That goes by the name of Instex.
Yeah, you know that's what's up.
So they want Iran they don't want Iran to go to turn up on the entire to turn up on U.S. because if that does happen, I think there will be a major war that could break out, and I think sides will have to be chosen. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because it's not cool at all. So
no, for sure. What's it called? Trump was quoted because he talked about his decision to be like, you know what, no military strikes, but yes, sanctions.
Yep.
And he is talking with old boy from Meet the Press, Chuck Todd, and Trump was like, I have two groups of people in his cabinet. I have doves and I have hawks. So he's talking about these people who want to do more diplomacy, but then also people who are ready to just go to war and get it popping. And Chuck Todd was like, you have some serious hawks. And he was like, I have some hawks. Yeah, John Bolton is absolutely a hawk. If it was up to him, he'd take on the world at one time, okay? But that doesn't matter because I want both sides. So there's definitely an aggressive push to try to get what the United States has always wanted out of that particular country. That country has its own problems. It has its own things that it needs to pick up. Like before the sanctions, the economy was not what it needed to be, based off of the decisions of the leadership. So I just hope for peace, and I hope that the beef gets settled the way it should be getting settled, which is just respect nation, real recognize real.
Yep. What's next on the syllabus?
Yeah. So talking about nations and nationalities, we got Sister Cardi B back at him with the facts. You know what I'm saying? So Cardi, since the beginning of her career, like, has always gotten the "what are you" kind of argument. Like, wait, are you black? Are you Hispanic? Are you Latina? Yeah. Are you this? Are you that? And she's always been pretty clear about where she stands on that, because to use her words, she talks about always being race baited, right? But she's always been pretty clear about, like, her distinct ancestry and national and ethnic heritage. She's talked about being Trinidadian. She's talked about being Dominican, and she talked about the common African denominator and all that, right? So she recently responded, just saying, what'd she say?
So was she on Instagram? Was she on?
She was on. She was on IG.
Okay.
And let's see, because I was about to say the old post. Her new post was, a lot of people don't know the difference between nationality, race, and ethnicity. That's not nobody's fault. And this is perfect Cypher Scholars talk right here. This is what she says next. That's actually the school's fault, because schools don't be teaching this ish to people. Right? So she clearly is a national ethnic mix of a couple of different things, but she has routinely stated the African ancestry and denominator and the bottom denominator of everything that she's mixed up with ethnically and nationally, right? But yeah.
Alright, so in a quote, she says what again? Like,
she said,
the beginning of the quote?
So the beginning of the quote is, a lot of people don't know the difference between nationality, race, and ethnicity. That's nobody's fault. That's actually the school's fault, because schools don't be teaching that ish to people. So she kind of responded, like, to this because somebody was thinking that she was Mexican because she speaks Spanish. Like, there's automatically this association with something other than black because Spanish is spoke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so they basically, I guess, she was upset that people associated her with another form of ethnicity. Yeah, that has some connection to her nationality or ethnicity, that she's really a part of, what group she's a part of.
Yeah, I think she's bothered by the dichotomy of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think she's bothered by the this or that. You know what I'm saying? When things is more deep than, oh, you're black or you're white, or you speak Spanish, that means you're Latino. That means, like, it's a very muddy, unclear, unique, distinct, like, thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially the more that ethnicities and what are they called? Phenotypes mix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that.
She talked about her phenotypes, and she was like, what she say? Some let's say they can be confused. They say you race so
long
bad.
hair, black hair, and
she had said, that's why I have Afro features.
Yeah.
She said it's like Cardi's Latin. She's not black, and it's like, bro, my features don't come from white people effing.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Ooh,
and they always want to race bait when it comes to me. That's why I have Afro features.
So okay, the lesson that we need to learn from this is, you better understand. First of all, you have to understand those three words: nationality, ethnicity, and race. You have to understand those three words. Those three words are not even related in some forms. You know what I mean? They are, but they're not. When it comes to
very loosely,
they're related, and especially if you go to certain fields like the law field, or if you go to like a different type of field, they will not be related at all. Okay, so you have to understand these words first and foremost, and then you also have to understand you must understand someone's culture. If you're going to speak to someone and try to categorize them, then you must understand their culture. You know what I mean? And if you don't know, it would be best to ask the question. You know, what are you? What's your nationality? Well, what's your ethnicity? Because nationality is something totally different from ethnicity.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
So we must have a full understanding of that. Like, for example, I guess I'm gonna just say this real quick.
Out with it.
All right. So most people of color here in America will call themselves Black Americans, right? And you have to ask, like, is that truly a nationality? No. Or is that ethnicity of some form, or is that some type of form of a race?
Yeah. So with the term
if
black,
if you were to break that, go ahead. My fault.
No, you good because you was talking. But black, I think black. The confusing thing about the word black, and maybe it's intended to be this way, is that when some people hear it, they're thinking about African American or an ethnicity that assimilated into African American, what's known as African American, and then sometimes it get used as this overall category for people of African descent in the Americas. You know what I'm saying? And then you don't always. So when somebody says you're not black, they might be like, oh, you're not African American. Yep. Or somebody's like, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. Yep. And then black, quote unquote, black people, African Americans get offended. And really they might just be saying I'm Dominican, but also as that Dominican person, they may have internalized racism that doesn't acknowledge their African ancestry. Yes. But Cardi has made it clear that her father has kind of taught her the history of the island of Trinidad and Dominican Republic in terms of these being some of the first places they dropped enslaved Africans off and had that history. And just because there's a Spanish tongue or you're West Indian doesn't mean that you don't have that ancestry. You know what I'm saying? And she's claiming that. You know what I'm saying? Which in a universe where many women don't and many people don't. You know what I'm saying? Like she does. There are MCs that have never claimed that they've never embraced their entire identity. We didn't necessarily grow up hearing Fabulous talking about I'm Dominican and black. And we didn't hear Irv Gotti talk about that. We didn't hear AZ talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we heard, and maybe that was their choice. You know what I'm saying? That's their choice. But this is the first artist that's mixed up like that in terms of ethnicities to actually speak to the nuances of it. You feel me?
Yeah. So don't get black mixed up with Haitian. Don't get black mixed up with Jamaican. Don't get black mixed up with Puerto Rican. Don't get black mixed up with Cuban. Don't get black mixed up with.
So we can debate. Man, I wish we
had
more time. We can't.
You know what I mean? Like there's nations and there's races there and there's ethnicity. They're all different.
But if that word black is used to describe a melanated or African ancestry, then. But you know what? We actually passed time. Y'all been listening to Cypher Scholars. Sorry, I tried to get that last word in real quick. But yeah, so. Been listening to Cypher Scholars, part education, part hip hop, all culture. You can catch us every Tuesday from 1:30 to 2. Catch us live online as well on Facebook. Peace and progress. Peace, JB.